Welcome back, everyone. We're doing a fun little epic history video today called Epic History X Simple History. Francis Drake sails around the world. Glad you're here. Make sure that like button. It really does help our channel out a lot. Let's see. I've heard of Francis Drake, but I really don't know about his journey. So today we're going to figure that out. Let's go.
Epic History TV Simple History collaboration, supported by our sponsor, The Great Courses Plus. In the 1560s and 70s, Protestant England under Queen Elizabeth was the bitter rival of Philip II's Catholic Spain.
It's crazy. I guess, is there some Habsburgs like stuff here happening here? Because I'm not sure. It looks like he's got the Netherlands or Holland, Sardinia, Sicily, southern Italy, and then part of what could be like I don't even know what that would be in the HRE, but Spain.
Philip ruled over a vast New World empire that produced a fortune in gold and silver for the Spanish treasury. The English looked on with envy. Though England and Spain weren't technically at war, Elizabeth secretly supported English pirates and smugglers who set out to get rich at Spain's expense. Amongst them, Francis Drake.
So Francis Drake was a mutineer or a pirate.
Drake had made several voyages to Spain's New World empire, where he'd sold African slaves and raided ships and settlements. In Panama, he'd climbed a tree to get a view of the Pacific Ocean and dreamed of becoming the first Englishman to sail it. His chance came in 1577, when the Queen entrusted him with a secret mission to raid the Spanish Empire's Pacific coast. On the 13th of December, Drake sailed for the New World with 5 ships and 164 men.
That's not a lot to think about. Like 164 men across 5 ships. That's not a ton of people. That's what? Like 30 people per ship? That means everyone's working all the time.
En route, Drake's fleet captured several Spanish and Portuguese ships, as well as a Portuguese navigator who knew the South American coast and became their guide. After a rough crossing of the Atlantic and 63 days without sight of land, Drake reached the coast of Brazil. He struggled south in heavy seas to reach Puerto San Julian by June.
And we gotta remember, guys, the more south you go, the colder it gets. Which a lot of times I forget as well. But the Argentine and / Chilean coast down here at the very bottom, it's not too far from Antarctica, and that is cold water. You get a lot of ice. It can freeze. Maybe not like some of the ocean, but a lot of the coastline, the shallower waters, can definitely freeze.
Here he decided to wait out the winter storms. 58 years before, Magellan, leader of the first and at that time only expedition to sail around the world, had wintered at the exact same place. Drake's crew even found grisly remains of the men Magellan had executed here for mutiny.
Dang.
By coincidence, Drake also put on trial one of his leading officers here, Thomas Doughty, and found him guilty of trying to sabotage the expedition. He too was executed.
Well, dang.
Drake, by now down to just 3 ships, continued south. He made a smooth passage of the Magellan Strait in just 16 days, during which he renamed the Pelican, his flagship, the Golden Hind, a tribute to Sir Christopher Hatton, one of the expedition's sponsors, and his coat of arms.
So Magellan Strait's the earliest, besides obviously you have the Panama Canal now, but Magellan Strait's the earliest you can cross? Obviously, I guess.
In September, Drake and his men became the first Englishmen to reach the Pacific, where they were met by 52 days of hurricane winds and mountainous seas. One ship, the Marigold, was lost with all hands. Another, the Elizabeth, sailed back through the strait and fled for home.
There's 3 left.
Only the Golden Hind was left.
Oh, I thought there was 5 ships.
Driven south towards Cape Horn and into the world's roughest seas.
Yeah, that is the worst of the world's seas. He's exactly right. Right below the tip of South America.
Europeans believed a great southern continent lay in this region, but Drake saw only more ocean. There was no southern continent here, but there was an open sea route around the tip of America, one which would later bear his name. The winds eventually eased, and Drake sailed north, hoping to barter for supplies with local tribes on Mocha Island.
And I'm wondering how many times they've seen Englishmen over here.
But they mistook Drake's men for the hated Spanish and attacked. 2 of Drake's men were killed, and he himself was badly wounded. Despite this setback, Drake had now arrived at the Spanish Pacific coast, which was virtually unguarded and had received no warning of his approach. It was the start of one of the greatest robbing sprees of all time. First, he hit the Spanish port of Valparaiso, where he took Chilean gold and wine. Then Arica, where he seized 40 bars of silver. At El Callao, he robbed every ship in the harbour. But
did they not have guns?
More valuable than any loot, he was told that the Spanish treasure ship Nuestra Señora de la Concepción had sailed north just 2 weeks before. Drake set off in pursuit and overtook the Spanish galleon off the coast of Ecuador. The Spanish crew had no reason to fear an English pirate in the Pacific. Such a thing was unheard of. So when the Golden Hind opened fire, they were taken completely by surprise and quickly surrendered. In the galleon's hold, Drake's men found 36 kilos of gold, 26 tons of silver, 13 chests of silver coin, jewels, and a golden crucifix.
Jeez. I'd sell back immediately after that.
A haul worth today around $60 million.
Yeah, sell back immediately.
The Golden Hind, using Peruvian silver for ballast, continued up the coast, stopping off to raid Huatulco in modern Mexico for supplies. For the last few months, Drake had been desperately hoping to rejoin the Marigold, unaware of her destruction in the Southern Ocean. Now he was forced to accept that the ship and his comrades were lost, and headed up the Pacific coast, hoping to find a theoretical northwest passage back to the Atlantic and England.
Oh, poor guy.
Drake may have sailed as far north as Vancouver Island, before giving up and returning to land in California, which he named Nova Albion, New Britain, and claimed on behalf of Queen Elizabeth.
That's crazy.
The English were welcomed by local Miwok Native Americans. The English thought they were being welcomed as gods. But it's possible that with their pale faces, they were instead seen by the Miwok as ancient spirits returned from the dead. Drake's men spent 5 weeks making repairs to the Golden Hind, because they knew there was now only one way home.
Same way.
The Spanish in South America were on high alert.
Oh.
And if a northwest passage did exist, Drake had failed to find it.
So he's saying, is he saying that he's got to go west into the biggest ocean on the planet.
So he would sail west,
Oh God.
across the vast Pacific Ocean,
Ooh,
and circumnavigate the Earth in order to get home.
good luck.
Drake set sail on the 23rd of July, 1579. For 68 days, they had no sight of land, but then finally reached Palau.
That's I can't tell you how lucky they are to hit Palau unless they had maps. That is luck unless they had maps, bro. Because Palau is such a small little place.
And then the Philippines.
Now you're good.
They sailed on to the Spice or Maluku Islands and added priceless cloves to a cargo that was already worth a fortune. But as the Golden Hind set off for home, disaster struck.
Pirates?
Beyond sight of land, in deep water, the ship suddenly hit a reef and
no.
stuck fast.
Oh no.
The sailors thought they were doomed. They threw cannon and some of their priceless cargo overboard to lighten the ship, and prayed to God. 20 hours later, in what seemed to Drake's men a miracle, winds and tide lifted them off the reef. The Golden Hind continued to thread its way through the islands of Indonesia,
I'd go
and
straight
after a
home.
2-week stop in Java, Drake set sail across the Indian Ocean. In June, he rounded the Cape of Good Hope and put in at Sierra Leone for fresh supplies. Without further incident, he reached Plymouth on the 26th of September 1580, with 59 surviving crew.
59 out of 164. Crazy.
His cargo of gold, silver and spices made a fortune for Drake and the investors in his voyage. Their return was an estimated 4,600%. Queen Elizabeth was one of those to profit handsomely from his success, and the following year had Drake knighted aboard the Golden Hind in
Sir
London.
Francis Drake.
Drake's remarkable voyage made him the first Englishman to circumnavigate the globe. He would go on to win even greater fame with a leading role in the defeat of the Spanish Armada 8 years later.
Really?
Sir Francis Drake today remains one of England's greatest naval heroes.
Wow.
Drake's daring expedition is part of a story of human exploration that goes right back into prehistory.
This is just an ad, isn't it? Yeah, it's an ad for great hair. Their thing. Wow. Who knew a pirate do so much? That's crazy. That is. I was like, internally, I was screaming like, just go home. You've already got all your riches, and that was a bigger goal, circumnavigation. And it seems like his mentor, even if it wasn't an alive mentor, was Magellan in terms of this Magellan Strait. Stopped in the same place. Magellan circumnavigated, and he basically followed the footsteps. The first Englishman to be in the Pacific Ocean. Crazy. That's a story. That's a story for him to be able to like, they probably made movies about this by now. Like it's just happened. Cool. The Golden Hind. I think that's in London. Pretty sure that's in London. I might have seen it. and I didn't realize it. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. This, of course, was Epic History. Make sure you guys subscribe to them. They're amazing. Until next time, guys. Peace out. Have a good one. Bye-bye.